If you're upgrading to the Nintendo Switch 2, there's one thing you don't want to mess up: your data transfer. Moving your saved data, games, and settings from your original Switch to the new console isn't automatic, and doing it the wrong way can cost you time, progress, and maybe even your sanity. So let's break down exactly how to transfer everything smoothly the right way. And if you're new here, be sure to like, smash the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification icon so you can be notified for future episodes. So first up, what actually transfers? According to Nintendo, your user profiles, your save data, Nintendo Switch Online cloud saves, most digital game licenses. But here's the catch: not everything carries over automatically, especially if you're not using Nintendo's new transfer tool. Now, if you're not going to have your old Switch when setting up your new Switch 2, maybe you're trading it in, selling it, or giving it to a friend. Nintendo has a second option called a system transfer using the server. Here's how it works. Your data from the original Switch gets uploaded to a secure Nintendo server, and your original Switch gets completely reset to factory settings, so make sure you're 100% ready before doing this. That data stays on Nintendo's server for up to 1 year, and you'll see a download deadline when you start the transfer process. Later, when you get your Switch 2, you can simply sign in with your Nintendo account and retrieve all of your save data, even if it's months later. And yes, if you change your mind, you can cancel the upload and restore it back to your original Switch as long as it's still within the deadline. Important to note, if your Switch has multiple user profiles, this method will include everyone's data and it'll reset the whole console, so make sure everyone's ready before pulling the trigger. This is the best method to use if you're not doing a direct side-by-side transfer, like if you're mailing your Switch in or trading it before your Switch 2 arrives. When setting up your Switch 2, Nintendo walks you through a device-to-device transfer. You need both consoles powered on and nearby, both systems must be connected to Wi-Fi, and your Nintendo account must be linked on the old system before you start. Once you're in the transfer menu, you follow the prompts. Switch 2 will detect your old system and begin the transfer. It's fairly quick, but the key is to do this before adding or playing anything on the new system, otherwise you might mess up the sync. And if you have a lot of content on your original system, it could take a little longer. One of the best things about the Switch 2 is that it's backwards compatible. That means you can still play most of your physical and digital Switch 1 games on the new system. No need to rebuild your library from scratch. Now, not every game runs perfectly out of the box. Some titles may need patches, and a few may not be fully compatible at all, but overall, your collection is safe. Here's where it gets more interesting. Nintendo is offering you two types of upgrades for older games. First, there are the free updates. By just connecting your Switch 2 to the internet, you can download patches that improve performance, boost frame rates, or even unlock new features like game share for select titles. These vary from game to game, but you'll notice the difference, especially in games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Tears of the Kingdom. Then there are the paid upgrade packs. These turn certain Switch 1 games into full-on Switch 2 editions with better visuals, smoother performance, and sometimes even bonus modes or features. It's kind of like a mini remaster that you unlock for a few bucks. Bottom line, you get a lot of free improvements just by upgrading, but few games may tempt you to spring in for the premium treatment. And just to make things easier for you, I've added the links to Nintendo's official compatibility PDFs in the description below. These cover games that won't start up on Switch 2, games that are playable but have some in-game issues, and even a list of games that are currently having problems but are planned to be fixed in the near future. Nintendo is still working with developers to improve compatibility, so this list might change, but if you're wondering whether a specific game is safe to jump into, these PDFs will help you out. Plus, good news, if you've got physical cartridges, just pop them into the new Switch 2 and you're good to go. For DLC or digital purchases, make sure your Nintendo account is linked on the new device. Your past purchases will show up in the eShop under re-download or purchased. Now, this next part is very important. It's the part a lot of people get wrong. You can't just pop in your old micro SD card into the new system and expect everything to show up. It'll ask you to reformat it. And here's the other thing. You can't use the same micro SD card in order for it to work. You need to use the new micro SD Express cards that are available for purchase. They're a bit more expensive, but they will drop in price over time. This is why I always recommend to back up your screenshots or video clips from your old Switch to a PC or to the cloud or whatever method works for you before switching SD cards. A few extra tips before you dive in. Make sure to do the transfer before resetting or selling your old system. Make sure both consoles are fully charged. You don't want them dying mid-transfer. And maybe don't do this at 2 a.m. if you're already sleep deprived from Zelda. I'll also drop the official Nintendo transfer guide link below in the description. I highly recommend bookmarking it just in case. If this helped you out, be sure to like the video, subscribe to Lunar Arcade, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss out on more Switch 2 coverage, including accessory breakdowns, performance tests, and game reviews. This is Lunar, signing off.